What's up guys, PJ here. I hope you guys are doing well and that everybody's having a great day. As you know, based off of the title for today's video, we're going over the idea of Rey being a Kenobi. Now the way I'm going to do this video in particular is to go over both sides of the argument. In order to tell you why I don't think she is a Kenobi, I have to say why people think she is, so let's get into it. One of the biggest reasons why people believe Rey to be a Kenobi is because she hears Obi-Wan's voice during her vision on Takodana in Maz's castle. She hears Alec Guinness's voice say, Rey. And then at the very end of the vision, after Kylo pops up and freaks her out, when she falls back into reality, Ewan McGregor's voice says, these are your first steps. So my counter argument to this being a point for the Rey Kenobi camp would be the fact that Rey hears a lot of other voices in her vision besides Obi-Wan. She hears Darth Vader breathe at the beginning, she hears Luke scream no, she hears Yoda, Palpatine is in there faintly as well, and with all of these other voices in there, the vision is still about the Skywalker bloodline. In her vision, she physically sees Luke and Kylo Ren, both of whom have Skywalker blood. In both the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, Obi-Wan's job is to protect and train the Skywalkers. In the prequel trilogy, he had Anakin, and in the original trilogy, he had Luke. So why not keep Obi-Wan character in these new films, especially since they are targeted to the newest generation of Star Wars fans who aren't going to be as familiar with the prequel or original trilogy. Doing this would be a great way to introduce this new generation to these older films and get them invested so that Disney can make even more money off of them. Another big reason people think that Rey is a Kenobi is because she used the Jedi mind trick, which apparently is Obi-Wan's signature move. Obi-Wan is not the only one in the movies who uses the Jedi mind trick though. There have been other people to use it, namely Qui-Gon Jinn in The Phantom Menace, and Luke used it in Return of the Jedi at Jabba's palace. And now we have Rey who used it against the Stormtrooper in The Force Awakens. If Obi-Wan had been the only one to use it in the entire saga thus far, then yeah, that would be a point to the Rey Kenobi camp. But with there being other people who have used it, it doesn't really make it a larger piece of evidence. People are also thinking that since Obi-Wan had a love interest in the Clone Wars with Duchess Satine, that this points to the Rey Kenobi theory. I'm not disputing the fact that Obi-Wan loved the Duchess or that there wasn't anything there, because there clearly was. Obi-Wan said that he would have even left the Jedi Order to be with her if she asked him. The main purpose of having this part of Obi-Wan's character arc is to show the difference between how Anakin and Obi-Wan would have handled the same type of situation. We all know that Anakin tried to be both a good Jedi and a good husband. He tried to juggle both, whereas Obi-Wan would have picked one or the other because he was committed to the Jedi Order, or he would have been committed to Satine. There was no both for him. In the Clone Wars, spoiler alert if you haven't seen them all, Darth Maul kills Satine in the Clone Wars and makes Obi-Wan watch, but rather than giving into his dark side and going off the rails, he says,
"You can kill me, but you will never destroy me. It takes strength to resist the dark side. Only the weak embrace it."
After Darth Maul kills her, he doesn't go crazy and try to kill Darth Maul. He goes to make sure Satine is okay and watch her die in his arms. I'd be willing to bet that if someone made Anakin watch Padme being killed, he would have gone off the deep end and tried to kill everyone who had any part in her death. This scene wasn't in the Clone Wars to show that Obi-Wan would have kids or get married. It was there to show how committed he was to the Jedi Order, and even after he goes into hiding, he is still committed to the Jedi Order because his mission is to watch after Luke and make sure that he is safe. J.J. Abrams has also suggested that Rey's loneliness is also a big part of her origin. Now yes, Obi-Wan was isolated on Tatooine, but he was watching over Luke doing his Jedi duty. Luke was left on Tatooine to live with his uncle and aunt, yes, so at first glance it can be understood why this would be thought of to refer to the Kenobi theory. But what's important to remember is that Luke didn't know his real parents. He had no memories of them, and he didn't know much about his true identity. Also, JJ could have been referring to The Force Awakens specifically and suggesting that Rey's loneliness was key to her origin. Guess who else was isolated when we met them in The Force Awakens? Luke. Luke is in exile on Ahch-To and has been for a few years before The Force Awakens begins, so this argument doesn't fit exclusively into the Kenobi camp. The next argument for the Rey Kenobi theory is one I'm surprised is considered evidence for Rey being a Kenobi, and that's built upon the fact that Obi-Wan had the Skywalker lightsaber in his possession for roughly 19 years. I don't see how this is a valid piece of evidence. If it was Anakin's lightsaber, he used it, Obi-Wan never used it. Then Obi-Wan gave it to Luke, who used it, and again Obi-Wan never used it. Another thing that makes this argument a little less plausible is that Maz Kanata tells Rey that lightsaber was Luke's and his father's before him, and now it calls to you. Maz doesn't mention Obi-Wan at all in this, which I think dismisses this piece of evidence. Those are the biggest reasons why people believe she is a Kenobi, but the last thing I want to mention that doesn't really go against any specific piece of evidence for the Rey Kenobi theory is the fact that these Star Wars movies are 4-quadrant projects, which means they are targeted towards everyone of all ages, not diehard fans like us, and are specific to a general audience. The Star Wars movies have always been about the Skywalkers, and while this new trilogy has a character with the Skywalker bloodline in Kylo Ren, his last name before he turned was Solo, not Skywalker, which makes the best play for Disney to have Rey be a Skywalker, as most casual moviegoers and Star Wars fans would be able to follow that logic the easiest. That wraps things up for me here in this video though. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. Thank you guys for watching, this is PJ, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.